Welcome to the Filmcast review of 28 Years Later, The Bone Temple. I'm going to read the plot summary of this film from IMDb. As Spike is inducted into Jimmy Crystal's gang on the mainland, Dr. Kelson makes a discovery that could alter the world, end quote. This movie is written by Alex Garland, directed by Nia DaCosta, and it is the sequel to 28 Years Later. Now, before we even talk about this film, can we please... Whoops, sorry. I just knocked my microphone. Can we please acknowledge that it is wonderful to have a movie come out and then have its part 2 come out 7 months later? Like,
it's great.
Why?
Film more movies back to back. Yeah.
Well, especially with the way the first one ended, right? The first one ends
absolutely.
with a massive cliffhanger. Like, what is what?
And we should say, like, we are going to have a spoiler section for The Bone Temple, but you should assume we will spoil 28 Years Later Part 1 in this conversation about
Otherwise, what are you doing here?
That I don't understand. I will also say, I'm still remembering when, what was it, Across the Spider-Verse came out? The 2023 film Across the Spider-Verse, and it's like...
Or...
Fast and Furious.
Fast and Furious.
Fast and Furious
Part 1.
Part 10, Part 1.
Yeah, Fast 10 Part 1, which like it hasn't even started. They haven't even started filming Part 2 yet, right? And it's like these movies, these like massive, not just like tiny movies, massive summer movies ended on huge cliffhangers, and then the next installment is nowhere to be seen. Praise be to 28 Years Later, which also ended on cliffhanger is too strong of a word, but with some really intriguing plot developments.
I mean, it was a pretty cliffy to me.
WTF hanger. Yeah.
I wonder how much of that in this case is due to the fact that they had a young actor at the center of this who would age sort of obviously over the next couple of years. You know, he's at that age where he's about to change physically in very dramatic ways. You know what I mean?
That's true. Yeah. But also, like, when they pitch this movie, it's like, hey, you wanted the 28 Days Later sequel? We got the guys. Got Danny Boyle and Alex Garland back. And in fact, Alex Garland has written 3 movies. Let's just go. Let's go make 2 and don't make the budget too high. You know, for something. I
am a little concerned. This movie is doing a bit worse than the last film.
A lot worse. It seems,
and so it does feel like it jeopardizes. First of all, that is fascinating to me. By the way, that it's doing worse. Like,
this is a real Furiosa situation.
I don't understand why you would be excited for 28 Years Later and then not be excited for this film. Like, that
unless you're disappointed by 28 Years Later.
That's the one thing. Is like maybe they didn't like 28 Years Later that much, which, by the way, was my case.
Yeah.
But hey, with the sequel now here, we have the ability to evaluate these 2 films together. And kind of, in my opinion, it is a more complete story now that we've seen The Bone Temple. All that said, Devindra Hardawar, let's start with you. What did you think of 28 Years Later, The Bone Temple?
The Bone Temple. I adore this movie, but you know this. You know I love 28 Years Later because of the ways it managed its tone and took us to places I never really expected in a zombie movie. I think Alex Garland and Danny Boyle were really onto something. This is like a really solid follow-up. I don't think it reaches quite the heights of that. But man, it just... I'm constantly amazed at what Alex Garland is doing here too. Like, you can kind of tell why he's come back to this universe, because we have lived through an actual pandemic and we are asking ourselves these questions right now. Is like, how do we rebuild our civilization in the face of a global threat, but also local threats and political threats, and what is happening to society right now? We're looking at what's happening in America right now. Continued levels of like insanity every day in the news and everything. And we're asking, how do we move forward? I think these movies are trying to explore some of that. And this is a really fascinating thing because this movie is really looking into the humanity of the zombies, which is not exactly a new thing. Romero did it. Like, that was kind of an interesting thing that he was doing too. Also his political commentary, but also how far humans can go towards being inhuman and at times worse than the monsters that everyone is afraid of. And I think that exploration is really fascinating. I like the performances quite a bit here. Like, Alfie Williams continues to be great, even though he's kind of sidelined a bit in this movie. He is feels like more like a prop rather than the straight up main character. And overall, this movie does feel like it's hard for this movie to stand alone, right? Because it is a bridge to another movie that has the potential to be really interesting, which we'll talk about. But, you know, for what it is, I really enjoyed this. And Ray Fiennes, man, like every time Ray Fiennes like comes out and does something wild, you gotta admire this guy for how far he goes and how much he commits. I adore this movie. Didn't love it as much as 28 Years Later, but this is still really good, and I'm very sad to see that the box office is not reflecting that. This feels very much like a Furiosa situation, and it's sad. It's disappointing.
Jeff Kanata, so curious your thoughts on 28 Years Later, The Bone Temple.
Well, Dave, I guess you could say my thoughts on 28 Years Later, Your Mom at My House, is best summed up in the form of a limerick. Instead of a Satanist clan, I wish that this movie began in the Temple of Bone, where we just get stoned and jammed to Duran Duran. I also love this movie. It is a grisly start. And a grisly middle.
A grisly middle and kind of a grisly end as well.
Dude,
it turns into a rock thing. It's cool. It's cool.
Every single moment of this movie with Ray Fiennes is just incredible. He is the perfect casting. Like, it does not get more perfect than the casting of him in this part. He was great in the last movie, but he really takes center stage here. And like his sort of gentle nature is like,
yes,
you couldn't do it with another actor. It would be such a different movie with another actor. He just owns this part, and like Devindra says, goes for it. There's a sequence in this movie where he is going for it, and it's so incredible. Like, I just have the utmost respect for him. And and you know, we got so excited about Alex Garland reteaming with Danny Boyle, and justifiably so. I was right there with Devindra, loving that last movie. But Nia DaCosta, directs this one, and just knocks it out of the park. I mean, I will still die on the hill of The Marvels. I think that movie is woefully underrated. That movie is a blast. I didn't love the Candyman remake, but man, she brings it directorially in this movie. And it is, I mean, there are some sequences that are like printed out and put it on your wall. Beautiful. I mean, obviously working with a cinematographer, but like every sequence, like how it's shot, how it's shown to you, what you don't see, what's happening at the corners. There's a sequence where there's an entire like long dialogue sequence with a raging inferno happening in the background. That's like, how do you even shoot that? It does not look like green screen. It does not look like we're on the volume. You know, it's just, there's just some flourishes directorially that are so stunning. This movie is gorgeous in my opinion. And substantively, thematically, it is very powerful. I loved the humanity, as Devindra pointed out, the humanity of this movie, the fundamental exploration of that, of, you know, juxtaposing these human beings who are acting more despicably than the zombies, and the zombies sort of coming around to a sort of humanity in a sort of oblique way. It is a really powerful movie that is very difficult to watch, I think, if you have any, or you're squeamish in any way, because it does not pull punches. I understand the need, I think, thematically, to show just how horrific and depraved these human beings are. But my goodness, I put my hand over my eyes a couple of times in this movie. It is really, really grisly. So if you have any kind of aversion to that, it is hard to watch on a number. But I think that is compartmentalized. It really is toward the early part of the movie, and the movie kind of moves away from that to a large extent. And I think the most powerful stuff in this movie are conversations. There are discussions that happen in this movie that are as thrilling to me as an action sequence, and the sort of hanging menace of, you know, our Jimmy Crystal character is so well executed and juxtaposed to the sort of gentleness of Ralph Fiennes. I thought this movie was incredible. I really liked the first 28 Years Later. I'm tempted to put this even higher on my esteem.
Yeah, I mean, as you all recall, I was not a fan of 28 Years Later, or as they call it here, 28 anos depois. But and it's because, like, honestly, I felt like the introduction, the first third of 28 Years Later, I thought was awesome. Like, this kind of coming of age story in the post-apocalypse, Spike and his dad and the relationship between them. Like, I thought that, I love that so much. And then the movie takes a really hard left turn and becomes something else entirely for the final 2/3. Introduces the Bone Temple, introduces Ralph Fiennes' character, which, like, to me was such a huge narrative concept that I didn't feel it was adequately explored, and now in this film finally is. And then obviously the ending of that film, quite ridiculous, and left a lot of questions to me, open to me. So I was really curious to see how this film would handle the ending and, like, how it would deal with the characters and all that stuff. And I'm just going to say this unequivocally, I love this movie. I think
great.
This is and Devindra, I'm a little surprised that you like 28 Years Later.
I still love this movie.
Right. To me, it's not even this movie completely blows the first movie out of the water.
The thing, what I think what it is I appreciate all the things you dislike about 28 Years Later.
Yeah.
And the reason you're liking this one is because tonally, I think it's a little more direct in terms of what it's doing. But yeah, go ahead.
Do you find, Dave, that it retroactively improved that first movie in your estimation? No.
I was thinking about this. But here's the thing. I think that this movie, with two, like, very minor exceptions, could, in my opinion, could be watched basically independent. Like, you could not
you
even
just don't have the connection to Spike at all.
That's right. You wouldn't have the same connection to Spike. But I think it's still an effective film over, like, Spike is barely even a character in this.
But you need to, like, in order for it to land the way it lands,
I understand
as to what's at stake for him and his humanity. I think you have to have all of that emotional.
I think that's fair. Fair. But I think, let me put it a different way then. Large parts of this film, I think, are very successful, even standalone without 28 Years Later. But you're right that there's some big emotional beats that probably wouldn't be as effective if we hadn't gotten some background from the
whole Samson thing, Samson and the Doctor and Spike and everything. Like, Spike, I love this movie, but Spike doesn't really, there is no journey for Spike in this movie.
He's not the main character.
Yeah, he's not the main character.
He's not the main character.
But first of all, I actually like this movie from an aesthetic standpoint more than the first film. Like, I know there's a much more grungy feel, a much more like we shot this on iPhones with bullet time feel to the first 28 Years Later, and this movie does not have that. It's interesting to hear Ralph Fiennes talk about the difference between working with Danny Boyle and Nia DaCosta, and how, like, Nia DaCosta, it sounds like, is much more like Danny Boyle is much more kind of like run and gun guerrilla style, and Nia DaCosta is like extremely specific and meticulous, and I think that's borne out in the film. I felt like this movie felt a lot more purposeful with a lot of its aesthetic choices, but ultimately this movie 28 Years Later is about how we are all we have. We humans are all we have, right? It has a very specific point of view about faith and about humanity, and how we are the ones that need to pull ourselves out of whatever mess we've gotten into. And it's really focused on the humans, and the infected stuff is an afterthought, in my opinion. Like, you expect when you watch a 28 movie that you're going to see all these hordes of infected running after dude, and there's some of that in the film, but it's very, very minor. It's really about the horrors that humans inflict upon each other. And by the way, who are the real monsters, guys? Who are the real
28 years is this?
Who are the real 28 Years Later? Anyway, so I love this movie so much. It is like it has contention to be in my top 10 of 2026, and we're just like 2 weeks into the year, whereas 28 Years Later was my biggest disappointments of that year. And so huge fan. A lot more to say in the spoilers, but I cannot recommend the Bone Temple more highly
And also for aficionados of the series, you should probably see this ASAP. Not only because it's going to be leaving theaters, but also it pays off in great ways by the end. Yeah.
All right. Well, let's talk about that.
We should mention how great Jack O'Connell is in this movie.
Yes.
Oh
He's
my God.
So good.
I mean, this is like almost a generational run between his role in Sinners and in this movie. That's like two of the greatest villains in cinema.
So
I
different.
think. And so different. Right?
Yeah.
Like it's incredible what he does in this film. So anyway, all right, let's get to it, guys. Spoilers for 28 Years Later, The Bone Temple, starting right now. All right, we're in spoilers for 28 Years Later, The Bone Temple. Okay, so why don't we start by talking about the big spoiler, right? The big spoiler: Cillian Murphy has returned, guys,
with a daughter. Yeah.
So I guess the idea is that his character had a kid with Naomi Harris's character from the first film, right?
Yes.
Like if you'll recall from 28 Days Later, they kind of got out of the bad situation, and the last we saw of them, they were kind of, hey, please help us, and they were getting help. Now, at the time, we didn't know that England would ultimately end up being completely isolated from the rest of the world. A lot of that going around, by the way. But
indeed.
Yeah, and so but we thought he made it out, and he didn't make it off of the United Kingdom islands, it seems, and he's still there. And he's teaching. He used to be, I think, a bike messenger, if I'm not mistaken. Right? Is that right?
Yeah.
And now he's become a history teacher. So that's cool that he's kind of like changing careers.
You kind of have to,
You got to remember.
You got to wear. He can wear many hats.
I was just gonna say. I think he's in everything now.
He's a homeschool teacher.
Yeah,
he's homeschooling his daughter.
You do everything in the post-apocalyptic zombie hellscape.
Well, it sounds like he was like going to administer a test.
Yeah,
the next day.
Sure.
It feels like homeschooling.
Was it just for his daughter? Yeah. I thought it might be at a school. All right, anyway.
I didn't see other kids.
Yeah, I don't see other humans at all.
Let me not just that. It's like you see Cillian Murphy, then the theme comes in.
Yeah, then the 28 Days Later
so
theme.
Good
yes.
to hear John Murphy's 28 Days Later theme. Used perfectly. Yeah, we're back. We're back,
babe. We are so back, Devindra. Yeah. We are so back.
It's such a cool way to do a Legacy-quel trilogy where you have two movies reestablishing the world with new characters, and then you bring the legacy character back in the third one. Is such a cool idea.
And I will say that it does, the way that they came back to this world does feel very purposeful to me. I wonder, like, what is the function of bringing Cillian Murphy back? Like, why, other than just fan service, is there some reason why you bring that character back? And so I'm curious what it is. Like, maybe he's learned a lot in the last 30 years about humanity and about the apocalypse, you know?
Well, with Kelson dead, like these movies have had, like, he was the icon of nobility, of like what we had before and what we can do moving ahead. And it seems like, at the very least, I think he will serve that role. That's how he was introduced here.
Yeah, and also a father figure, right?
Yeah.
He's got a daughter already. We're now linking him up with two other kids. You feel like it is bringing this new generation into whatever place they're going to have to be.
Yeah,
that's true.
I left the movie really excited and also frustrated that the next movie probably isn't going to come out in 7 months, right? Like,
right. Or maybe ever, which is like very.
Or maybe
terrifying.
it's a streaming thing.
Yeah,
Who
maybe
knows?
it goes straight to streaming. Maybe Netflix acquires Sony next, and then we can watch it on streaming.
We can all hope.
I'm not like, okay. Here's what I'll say is, if I had to choose between two endings where I'd get another movie 7 months later, I definitely would have chosen the 28 Years Later ending.
I don't know. I disagree with that. I think,
really,
first of all, the ending of the first 28 Years Later is so bonkers, batshit that it demands some explanation.
That's what I'm saying.
Yes.
That's what I'm saying. It's like, that's the movie where I'm like, I need the ending to
I thought you were saying the opposite.
Yeah. No, I'm saying, and this one, it's like, if they never make the ending, I'm actually okay.
I agree 100%. Like, this feels like a place you could leave this franchise.
Absolutely.
And just, your headcanon of what comes next is satisfying in some way.
Right.
But clearly, I thought you were saying the opposite.
I would agree with you, Jeff. It's like, yes, if they didn't make another one, I would be like a little sad, but I wouldn't be like super angry about it because it feels like a complete story of these two movies.
Right. Yeah.
But the ending did leave me really revved up for another one. I was like, oh, I really, because like they have some reason for reintroducing it. So like, I want to know what that is. Okay, let's talk about some of the other stuff that happened in the movie. I was so moved by all the stuff with the alpha, man. Like, him like experiencing rain again. Like, and you just, the way it's shot, it's like you just see him turn his palm upward, and it's like, oh, that's humanity. It's just a simple gesture of like turning your palm upward. Is like, oh.
And we get a glimpse of their perspective too, of like they see a warped view of the world.
Yeah, which is very interesting.
May explain something psychologically too. Like that whole plot line is fantastic.
That whole speech that Ralph Fiennes gives about, like there's this, we know there's this biological element, like the cell growth. We know but we also, there's a psychological element. Are you actually, reacting to something such a cool take on zombies? Is that like, oh, they're scared of what they see. I
think like anybody experiencing like psychosis.
Yes,
like drugs can help. If
better living through chemistry. This movie, big advocate for better living through chemistry. Thumbs up. When the gummy kicks in, if you're a zombie or a regular person, just let it happen.
This movie really allowed me to understand the character of Kelson on a much more deep level. You see how he lives, his background. A lot of dong in this movie, by the way. Just to point that out randomly.
I knew you were going to point that out.
There's
Dave can't let a dong reference come and go.
Can't. But it's striking to imagine the concept of the Bone Temple, or the ossuary, as he calls it in the film, as commemorating the passing of a lot of infected, of people who used to be infected and were part of this big pandemic, and how that stands in my opinion, stark contrast with how the actual world has approached it, which in my opinion is basically not talking about it. Like hundreds of thousands of people died, millions of people died around the world. And there are no, in America, at least as far as I know, there's no memorials. Like
I think America has done a good job of like memory holding it all, and we're learning nothing from it. But it does seem like from around the world, people are at least still discussing it and, I don't know, thinking about the impact of that.
Sure. But in America, it's like there's no like, hey, let's dwell on what was lost. Like, let's reflect on this. Let's honor those people that were lost. I don't feel like that has happened. Other people
instead we're responding to the worst impulses that came out from the pandemic era and paying a price for it. So
100%. And meanwhile, Kelson's approach stands in stark contrast with that, where like not only is he remembering the people who have passed away, he is looking for the humanity in those that are still here. And that just struck me as such a humanistic, compassionate point of view that I appreciated. And by the way, to everyone else, he looks like a crazy person. Like he is not like widely accepted by the societies in this world, right?
Well, I think that's the salient point, is that you say it's in stark contrast to our world, but it seems to also be in stark contrast to the world in the films.
Yeah,
like no one else, their world, no one is doing what he's doing either. So he is this sort of singular figure that is acknowledging and sort of finding, as you said, that humanity in this chaos. And it's a beautiful. To be fair,
there's much fewer people in this world than there are in the United States, but I agree with
but
you.
even like the first movie, we got a glimpse of the outside with that soldier guy who links up with Spike for a while, and like his take is not Dr. Kelson's take. You know what I mean? So I think it's pretty safe to assume that that's the case here too.
Yeah.
For sure.
Also, I thought you guys were 100% going to say this movie makes a case for physical media.
Oh, absolutely does.
I mean, that's what I'm preparing for when I have a library of physical media, although even physical media dies. So
it wasn't clear to me how he was powering that record.
The crank.
Was it crank? It was crank. Yeah, okay.
But hell yeah, dude, with all the Duran Duran hits. Yeah. Dude.
Duran Duran, Ordinary Radiohead.
World. Dude, I haven't listened to Ordinary World since the first 28 Days Later came out. Like that, such a great. I saw them in concert during that tour.
That's a great pick.
I will say that my one thing I remember about Ordinary World in movies is its use in Matthew Vaughn's Layer Cake. I don't know if you've seen that movie, but it's used to incredible effect in that. It will be seared in your memory, that one. I have to say that the most moving part of the film for me was at the very end when Spike and Ian and Kelson are linking up for they're connecting one last time after. I mean, the way that all plays out, where Ray Fiennes does his Megadeth thing and all, it's amazing. You guys,
how dare you, Iron Maiden?
Iron Maiden. I apologize. And does the whole dance and really just takes his role seriously.
It's like, I remember Rocky Horror Picture Show. Let's do that. Let's do a bit of that.
So good.
Yeah.
It's so bad. He what one can imagine the ask, was like, could you play Satan? And Dr. Kelson's like, I am going to give the greatest performance of Satan that anyone has ever seen.
Yeah,
it's so awesome.
Do the anti-Voldemort, who's also singing and dancing, I guess.
Yeah,
but it's so awesome. Like he could have done a 10th of that, and it would have still worked.
Yes.
And he's just like, no, I fucking have this kiln. I'm going for it, baby.
Well, it's wild because the kids, like the fingers, already believe.
Yeah.
They're predisposed to believe that he's Satan already.
Yeah.
And so then now when he does the whole thing, it's like, oh, wow, they are locked in. And then there's this moment at the very end of the movie when, what's her name? One of the Jimmies, the one that's still alive at the end, basically asks like, hey, what's going on? Are you Satan? And then he says, he says, no, I'm not. Like, no one is. There's just us, right?
Yeah.
And it's such a profound idea of
that's right.
There's no other forces out there that are controlling everything. There's no one coming to save us. It's just us.
Yeah.
And that to me is the most profound idea of this film.
All of the worst things and all of the best things are contained in each of us.
Yeah.
And we are responsible to push it in one direction or another.
Yeah. Yeah.
You don't get off the hook by saying something else made me do it, and you also don't get off the hook by saying I'm powerless to do anything else.
Yeah. Yeah. So anyway, I loved it. I was so moved by that part. Anyway, go ahead, Jeff.
I was gonna say the only thing that I scoffed at the end was like, there's no way that chick got him upside down.
Yeah, I was thinking like, who hoisted him up? Spike
Universe. She's like, I got this. No, you didn't. No, you didn't get him upside down like that.
You lower the cross and you get him on while it's laid down. That's how you do it.
Yeah, and then how you get it up.
Yeah, how do you hoist it up? Maybe they use an elaborate pulley system. That's what I think is kind of.
I think he's figured out a lot of contraptions over there to be like a one-man bone cleaning facility.
I just like the idea of dying. Ray Fiennes like, okay, hammer his hands in. All right, the pulley over there.
Yeah. So also in the film, the other thing we should discuss is that Ian Kelson apparently discovers a cure for the infection. Which is wild.
Well, temporary. I assume temporary, but I don't know.
Really, my sense was that it's permanent. Now,
if it's chemical and he's treating it like as psychological disease, like you take that stuff for life. It is a thing you're constantly treating. It was not presented
also
to me
rage
as sort
is not
of like,
a real virus, Devindra. So who knows what kind of rules they're.
I guess.
But I thought all that stuff was very cool. Like when he says moon,
cool.
I was like, oh, I gasped.
Dude, I know.
So
awesome.
In that moment, he's ready to kill him. He's ready to be like, okay, I guess the best thing I could do is kill you in this moment. Yes,
he has the syringe in the arm.
Yeah.
And then it was
there are multiple moments of that too, like the moment where he first is just like, I don't know, man, I'm gonna keep doing this, and hey, let's both take the drugs, and if I'm alive at the end of this, it proves something. That's my experimental process right now. And he is surprised. His head is still attached to his body. That stuff is great. At one point, Kelson says, like, he's talking about like what he remembers of the old world. I love the conversation he has with Big Jimmy. And he doesn't remember much. He doesn't remember the life of like, cell phones and TV and everything, but he remembers the certainty that society can kind of exist. And it feels like we're at that point right now where it's like the certainty of whatever we had as a civilization is really in question right now. And that was a really interesting thing to bring up in the freaking zombie movie.
Yeah, agreed.
Absolutely.
I know you guys both really loved Del Toro's Frankenstein, and I don't mean to shit on it, but I think this movie speed runs Frankenstein in a much more effective way. I just thought like all of the beats with him and with the doctor and Samson.
Yeah, Samson. Sure.
Very Frankenstein-y, but it just so much more effective and powerful.
It's pure empathy because Frankenstein's always a story of like one man's ambition and selfishness, right? And this is just the most selfless person on Earth right now, apparently. Yeah,
I got some Frankenstein vibes from the movie you reviewed on the After Dark, Old Boy. Honestly, I got a few Frankenstein vibes from that one. I think there are a few plot threads that are left open by this film that I'm kind of curious about. First, we already talked about what's going to happen when Cillian Murphy finds Spike and Jimmy Inc. By the way, that's the one. So they all have Jimmy variant names. You know, Jimmy Inc., Jemima, and so on. Jemima. Jimmy Snake and so on.
Yeah.
And so we're all curious what's going to happen there. Spike and his dad, like, are we never going to come back to that? I assume
we're gonna come back to that. Yeah.
I assume there's going to be some resolution there. Also, like, there was a very minor subplot, I think, of Spike's mom being a total badass in 28 Years Later. Like, do you guys remember that? Where she kind of killed some of the infected.
Well, I think they all had to. You had to survive in that world. You had to at least learn to hunt and fight.
I didn't know if there was something else that the movie was hinting at there, but I was kind of curious if there was anything going to be followed up there. But yes, Jeff, you are right that you know, Dr. Kelson makes this grand gesture of blowing up Jimmy Crystal's plan in order to save Spike, because he thinks Spike has been through enough, and
that's right.
We wouldn't really understand that if we hadn't seen 28 Years.
No context for that. I mean, the movie does nothing to, and I think I love the notion of the main character of this one not really, or excuse me, of the last one not really being the main character of this one.
Yeah,
I just think that's a cool sort of stylistic choice
where
we just come upon him, and it was kind of a shocking moment, like, oh my God, he's complete, because we leave it like, oh, he's come upon them, he's come upon the Jimmies, you know, and we don't really know, they wander off together, we don't really know what's become of that, and like, oh, he's in the cult, he's got no choice to be in the cult.
He has no choice. That opening scene, brutal. I really felt for poor Spike in that time too. Just absolutely, like, okay, he kills. That's probably the first time he's killed a person, right? He's killed monsters before, but now he is a murderer because of this cult, and that hurt. Knowing like pure little Spike from before. Yeah.
One of my favorite moments.
That's the first part that I covered my eyes. Like just seeing that dude bleed out.
Yeah. When the blood starts spurting and then no one helps him. It's like such an upsetting thing. One of my favorite moments from the movie is when that pregnant woman's about to escape, and then Spike says, "Take me with you." And then you think, oh, she's going to take him with her. And they're going to be, and then she just kind of slaps him down basically and runs away, which I was like, when she did that, I was like, oh yeah, that's realistic. That's
because exactly that woman has left every single person behind. Like what we know about that woman is that she will run the hell away from danger and leave everybody else behind.
Well, that's not true. She didn't need to throw that thing through the dude's head.
She didn't, but she waited till the very end.
I was like, dude, why don't you, like, she should have started a fire or something.
Before the skin flaying, maybe. Yeah. If you want to be helpful.
She's like sitting there for like 8 hours watching their skin flay, just like, okay, I need to wait for the right moment.
Also, I would be like, this is an untenable situation. Maybe I'll just find my way out.
She was just hiding. She was just hiding, I think.
It's like, I'm going to wait until virtually everyone is dead, and then I'm going to act. It's like,
she's a survivor, this lady. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I will say her actions were fairly baffling until she rejected Spike, and then that made a ton of sense.
That was an amazing moment, because you think, oh, this is where the movie is going, is that he found his salvation. She's like, fuck you!
Nope. Like in a different film, they would like team up, and then she would take care of him or whatever.
That's another thread that's going to come back, by the way.
She would be his mom's
cult. He's a culty. What's she doing in here?
Yeah. I wonder if like that character is going to come, because everyone else in that barn died. There's some like really subtle things that the movie did that I really appreciated. So for instance, I think that the skin flaying was incredibly graphic. And I'm just going to put it out, for me, unnecessarily so. Like, you could have done the same thing and not gone that hard, and it still would have been effective.
100% agree.
But there's this moment where they get the propane tank, and then he uses it as a flamethrower against everyone, which is like super cool. And then you see that the people who have been flayed are still alive.
Yeah.
And they are like watching all their captors like burn. And I was just like, oh, that's nice. Like, that's a nice little.
Just think that's neat.
I was like, oh, That's a nice little moment there.
So
that's
sweet.
That's nice that they got to see that. Even like in the waning moments of their existence on this earth, they got to see, hey, a little bit of justice was done.
That's funny.
That's nice.
Yeah.
Do you remember the shot where like I mean, Nia DaCosta's incredible.
Yes.
Directing this movie. There's actually it actually shows a lot of restraint as to how often it really shows you the skin flaying. It leaves a lot in your imagination. It is still like nauseatingly horrifying to me. Like I had a really hard time with that sequence, and we stay there a long time.
I mean, they show like chunks of skin like falling onto the ground.
I mean, it is really, really disturbing. Like you said, it goes harder than it needs to do.
In our opinion.
And I think that for me, like that's almost a barrier to entry for this movie. But then the movie never gets that extreme for the whole rest of it.
Yeah.
Right.
Also, you're entering an R-rated horror movie, and I feel like you gotta assume it's not gonna be gentle.
Devindra's pretty hardcore. For those who don't,
these are Satanists. They're not like semi-Satanists. They're not like Satanists on the weekend. Well, they have devoted their lives to Satan. Yeah,
fair. The other thing is that the amazing setup of we're gonna shirt them. And then we find out what shirting means. And then she goes, what do you want his charity to be? She goes, I want to pants him. And you're just like, oh, now I know what that means. I know what that means.
Now you know what that means. And this is after the Teletubby dance, too, by the way, which is the most horrifying thing in this movie, of turning the Teletubby dance into like a tribute of post-apocalyptic murder. Yeah. Oh, my God. Alex Garland. That's just he's trolling us. He's having fun with this material.
The shot I was going to bring up though was from the very beginning of the movie in the stabbing, where she puts the camera right next to the splurting blood, but it's like it's out of focus and we're in focus behind it. Do you remember that, where the blood is like splurting across the front of the camera?
Yeah.
So cool.
I do want to acknowledge one other thing about the film, which is that the main character, or one of the main characters, Jimmy Crystal, is a dead ringer in terms of appearance and styling for Jimmy Savile, who, for those who don't know, is one of the most notorious sexual predators to have ever lived. He was a super famous BBC personality and beloved, and he would do good deeds on the air, and everyone loved him, and he was one of the most famous people in British broadcasting history. Died, I think, in 2011, if I'm not mistaken. And then after he died, it came out he had committed hundreds of acts of sexual depravity with very, very young children. And
you'd think a Satanist cult would find him highly
well, they didn't know. They did not have that.
There was
context.
no Jimmy Savile in this universe, but I think he's modeled after Jimmy Savile.
Well, even if there was a Jimmy Savile in the universe, the timeline of the universe means they would not have learned those allegations. But what it does show is that the Jimmies, these are creatures of pop culture. These are us. These are the people who listen to this podcast, who are obsessed with pop culture, that's infected their lives and their brains when society falls. Yeah. What do you do with that?
Well, the movies, in my opinion, are about Britain specifically, right? There's a lot of like British imagery in the first film, kind of Brexit imagery of this island that is separated from everywhere else by this body of water, lighting candles to the Queen, telling stories about the glory days and so on and so forth. And in this film, it's kind of, in my opinion, an indictment of Savile and also the systems that would allow him to come into power and maintain power over all these kids, which in the case of Savile in real life was a combination of complicity from the media and people in power and so on. And in this movie, it's more about him abusing religion and getting people to believe in his version of it, right? And like taking advantage of their minds to manipulate their beliefs into worshiping him, essentially. I just wanted to note that before we wrap up the review. So, all right. I think that's it. I think those are our thoughts on 28 Years Later, The Bone Temple. Hopefully they make another one. But we all loved it. You should watch it. Go see it in theaters. It's great. And at the end of the day, it is really impressive that Nia DaCosta made a movie. thank you so much for watching this video of the Filmcast. Check out these other videos that we have available, and be sure to hit like, subscribe, and hit that bell icon to get other videos from us in the future.
You can also go to thefilmcast.com to catch all of our audio podcast versions of all of our episodes.
And support this podcast at patreon.com/filmpodcast, where you can sign up for ad-free episodes and exclusive After Darks.
Thanks so much to everyone who makes the Filmcast possible.